Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to my F1 23 My Team Career Mode for episode number 3 here today from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you did miss out on the last video from Australia that went out last week, then there'll be a link to it in the top right hand corner of your screen. As we had a wet qualifying, but we managed to get the grips with the wet conditions around Albert Park. We had a good setup and we qualified well, and there will be spoilers coming up soon, so I'd click off the video now so you don't miss them. But if you haven't clicked off the video and you watched it, you will know that on lap 20 of 29 of the Australian Grand Prix, our engine blew up and we ended up getting a DNF in that race, and we paid the price as Dennis Hauger, our teammate, got an engine failure in Bahrain, even though it doesn't say he got a DNF. It said he came 22nd, but he did because he retired on the last lap. As you can see, that confirms that the turbocharger did go bang in the last race, and I fitted a fresh one in for this weekend, last episode as well at the end, which is why it's slightly longer, as we now head into the race weekend, and it is a sprint weekend, so it is dry, but there is a 48% chance, so it could rain, but it does say dry conditions on track. As you can see, we are making gains, but not a lot of gains that I really want to be making. We kind of need to be pushing up the order, really. But these first few races are going to be quite tough for us as we head into qualifying now. You'll know why I skip practice. As we now head into Q1, and as you see, we're using new overlay. This isn't in-game, by the way. I'm using the F1 TV overlays from SimHub. So, yeah, if you want them, then just go into Race Department and go into F1 20XX Series, and and then it'll be there, hopefully. As first up, we do a 44.9, and we go P10 at the time, but eventually we do get pushed down to the bottom, as I went for a consecutive I went for a cooldown lap to charge up some of the battery, and I went for another push, and as you see, 8 tenths up now. As the first lap I'm just starting to get the grips of, as it's the first lap we're doing it in anger, as Perez is a 141.9. He tops it as we go into turn 15. We do lock up a little bit and we do hit the wall, which is a bit annoying, and we do get some front wing damage, so that's the first run off the table, as we now come to the end of the session, and we are currently last. We need a good lap, or otherwise we're going to be out. And to be honest, I've been struggling this whole weekend with setup. The setup just feels so oversteery. I just can't get the traction down at all. But we head on to the final lap then in qualifying, maybe, and I'm going to commentate it. So you're opening up DRS, top speed of about, as you can see on the right hand side, about 351 kilometers an hour with DRS open and hot lap engaged. And as you can see, we've already lost a tenth there, but first corner went third gear up to fourth, second turn 2 same, third gear, couldn't quite get the traction down. As opening up the DRS, we've found a lot of time. We're now 6 tenths up, as you want to brake about just before the 100-meter board, down into third gear again, and then maybe short up to fourth, but we don't on this occasion. As again, the next corner, second gear, short up to third on the exit, just so you don't minimise the wheel spin. We do get a bit of wheel spin, and then turn 5, you want to brake between the 100 and the 50, down to third, maybe down to fourth, maybe third, just to get the extra rotation. And now down into turn 7, brake again in between the 100 and the 50, use as much as your curb as possibly can. I'm on regular, so I got away with that. Now castle section, 50 meter board down to third for the first bit, and then up to fourth on the exit of turn 12, as we do get quite a good exit, and we're currently 6 tenths up. Is this going to be enough? We are 1.9 seconds though. We need at least 2 seconds to get out of qualifying, but it doesn't look like it is. Turn 15, you're back at the 100 meter board. Being a bit cautious there, as previously we did hit the wall on our last lap. I just don't really want to hit the wall. You want to brake about the 100 meter board. I didn't quite get the car slowed down in time, and again going quite deep, quite wide. As we now come through turn 18, turn 19 and turn 20 down the long back straight, the long main straight even. We're a second up. Are we gonna maybe make an improvement? Are we gonna maybe get out of Q1, or are we gonna struggle yet again as we cross the line? And it's only P21 for the sprint race. Now this game doesn't it still has the old format of qualifying on the Friday, then you got another practice session, and then the sprint on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday, which hopefully will be dry. But yeah, we are knocked out in Q1 for I think the first time this season actually. So maybe Baku isn't really suiting our car, as Esteban Ocon does have a 5th place grid penalty, probably for impeding. But as you can see, we're 3/10 off Logan Sargent. The only car we could have beat was De Vries, and we did beat De Vries. We're just struggling. I'm just struggling with traction. As you see in the last episode, we did pick Nico Hulkenberg as our rival. So he's got the edge over that. But let's head into then the sprint for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which will set the grid for Sunday's race.
Well, the weather is not looking good today. We're expecting the downpours to continue into today's sprint. This will make for some very tricky conditions for all the teams. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Halger, Sargent, the owner driver, and Nick De Vries. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
So here we are then for the formation lap in a surprisingly wet Azerbaijan. It wasn't really forecast, as it was 48% chance of rain, but obviously that 48% chance turned into 100% overnight, as we now line up on the grid for Saturday's sprint race. Now this will decide the grid for Sunday's race, as it's not like the format as we have in real life. As I said before, it's the format that we had last year, but we got point 1, and now let's go to 5 red lights for the sprint for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and it's lights out, and away we go. We get a pretty decent start in the wet, and my frames have dropped to the floor, and so has my audio, as I think it's a glitch or something, but I was able to drive through it as we get past the, I think it's an Alpha or something. I can't tell. No, it's Williams of, I think it's Sargent. Where are we? We're P90. Yeah, it was. I think it was Sargent and Albon that we got past. So that is good. As we now go down in towards turn 3, and we do get up down the inside of Piastri. We're now up into P18. We're making some good places off the start in these tricky conditions, even with not an ideal setup really. We just can't get the traction down. As you can see, I'm struggling to get to 100% throttle just through that little bit, just because of wheel spin. And I see the audio is pretty fine, as we're actually getting up to full throttle in maybe 5th gear, so maybe we're getting a little bit of flashbacks compared to F122. when it was really struggling to get the traction down. As we now come through the castle section for the first time, and we don't do a Leclerc. As Baku has changed for this year, I did forget to say, as we get a little bit loose out of there, and we pick up a little bit of understeer, and we scrape the walls slightly. As we now come down and into turn 15, as we now come into the last proper corner, where you have to brake before the mile-long straight. As we now skip to lap 2, to midway part of lap 2, and as you can see, Max Verstappen is comfortably leading the way over his teammate by 1.5 seconds roughly, and my teammate is just behind me. Oh, it's Sargent actually that we overtook, as Piastri did get back past us. As we now come into the castle section, I just brake really late, and actually we hit the wall and we're out of the sprint here in Baku already on lap 2, as we get a replay. And yeah, from Sargent's PFV, we just picked up a little bit of understeer, as we see our teammate, who also went deep, and he gone into the back of Sargent, and so he's out of the sprint as well. So it's a double DNF for 141 Racing F1 team here in the sprint, so which means that we're going to be starting from the back row of the grid. As you see us walking into the back of the garage, these tricky conditions with our tricky setup, with not a very good setup, is really hindering us so far this weekend.
This result has had on the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. With the sprint wrapped up, we now have our grid line-up for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
The sprint didn't go well. We'll see if we can do anything in the main race, as Team Acclaim is, I think we're losing it, but let's head into the main event then for the Baku Grand Prix.
From Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners, and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. The Baku city circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers, and it's made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to a catastrophic consequence for any one of our drivers. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Norris, Gasly, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Ocon, Joe, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Sargent, De Vries, and the owner-driver rounds off the grid. Stroll and Dennis Hauger. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So here we are then, a formation lap yet again for the main race, and as you can see on the left hand side, the starting tyres, everybody on mediums apart from Norris and the 2 McLarens on hards, and the 2 Alpha Tauris and the Williams of Sargent on the soft compound tyres. The rest of us are on the medium tyres, as we are starting now on the opposite side of the grid. And as you can see, FPS is actually better, so it might just be the wet, as we try a line up on a diagonal, and we get 0.2 again, which is very good. So it's very consistent with our parking. But here we go then to 5 red lights for the main race here in Azerbaijan as it's lights out, and away we go for the main race. And it's a good start. It's a terrible start. Shocking start for Esteban Ocon. We're going to try to squeeze up the inside. We do. We're up into P16 without P15 as we head up down the inside of Piastri again. As we're now, for some reason, the thing's there. As we make a little bit of contact with Joe, we're going to send it up the inside into turn 2. Let's see, can we get the move done? I don't think we'll be able to get the traction though compared to Joe. No, we can't. Being very patient on the throttle. But we're up into P15, so we make good gains from the last row of the grid. Just absolutely sending it into turn 1. As we're going to look maybe again up the inside of Joe, and we clipped, our rear tyre clips the wall. And we get a big tank slapper. As I'm going to invite Oscar Piastri on the hard tyres to go down the inside, and he hops over the curb. And he makes contact with us as we now go down in towards turn 5. And again, I took that 4th gear, I think in the wrong gear to be fair, as I was just taking it 3rd. But as you can see, Max Verstappen holds his lead at the front of the pack as Perez, I think, has dropped down. As I think did he start on pole? I don't know. You would have found out in the starting sequence anyway. I didn't, because I voice over these videos, so I literally just skip to when I need to do the voiceover. I don't actually look. I should really. But anyway, end of lap 1 then, as lap 1 draws to a close. And Max Verstappen is leading the way, followed by Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Alonso, Albon, Gasly and Norris on those hard tyres, holding his P10 pretty well. And actually Alex Albon is actually doing a good job in that Williams compared to his teammate. As Albon is P8, as his teammate is P19 on the soft compound tyres. As you can see, we're going to go maybe 3 wide into turn 1 as Piastri and Magnussen are looking side by side. And we go into turn 1 and we get tapped in the rear. And now you can saw that arrow didn't actually turn red until I made contact with Oscar Piastri. As we take a look at a replay, and into turn 1, I'm ahead at the corner, so technically it's my corner, and Piastri just turns in on me. As you get I was getting on board from Piastri, as you can see, he just turns in on me. But I feel like that was my corner. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is that my fault or is that Piastri's fault? But anyway, we're now at the back as our good start kind of fell away. As we're now at the back, and we now skipped to lap number 4. Not really much happened. I was just trying to get to the top. And why does it say that I'm on hard tyres on the graphic, but I'm actually on mediums? That's weird, but anyway, let's start lap 5 and Dennis Hauger, not again. 3 consecutive engine failures in a row for 141 Racing F1 team, and it's not been a good start to the season then, as Dennis Hauger is out and my graphic has changed. It does say now I'm on the mediums. As we now go to the end of lap 5 on to lap 6, and as you can see, Piastri is just pulling away, and that's because we have slight front wing damage and my front right is on 46%. Now I don't know if that's a glitch or because there is a new thing on this year's game where as we get all crossed up on that curb, and yeah, our race has gone to shambles. But there is a new feature as we're now just going to retire, as Baku is just going to be a race to forget. Yeah, a race to forget for 141 Racing. And yeah, let's see if we can bounce back in the next race, which is Imola, I do believe. So let's see if we can bounce back in the next one.
It's never an easy race here in Azerbaijan. There's drama around every corner, but they've come through to take a brilliant victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team. Let's have a look then at the driver's standings. Well, that lead at the top has somewhat shrunk today. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.
So yeah, that is it then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. As I said before, it is a race to forget for us. As Sergio Perez actually picked up the win there, followed by Max Verstappen again. Perez, every time that I play, seems to play a career mode with, well, obviously with them, but Perez seems to nick the win off Verstappen, as it was Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Norris, Gasly and Albon round out top 10, with Ocon, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Zhou Guanyu, Magnussen, Bottas, Tsunoda, Piastri, Sargent and De Vries miss out on points, with me and Hauger not making it to the flag. Championship wise, the gap at the top now is only 2 points between the two Red Bulls, and then there's a big gap between of about 29 points between the two Red Bulls and the next car, which is Ferrari with Charles Leclerc, I think. Constructors wise, Red Bull are flying 60 points clear of Ferrari. And yeah, because this video is actually going to be reasonably within the time limit that I want it to be, we can actually do upgrades before we go into the next episode. So acclaim, we lose so much acclaim. We lose a lot of acclaim. Yeah, we lose so much acclaim, we're actually now bottom of team acclaim level 5. We didn't qualify in P15 or better, so maybe that sponsor was kind of a bit too much to ask. Maybe. Especially now I'm running the AI that I use for the race in qualifying, so it may be a little bit harder to get the income that we need from that sponsor. But we're not going to do vehicle PR filming or aero thing because it's going to lower team morale, and we don't really want to do that, as I said before. But we are going to do a minor front downforce upgrade, which I didn't see when that was coming, but I think it was probably Imola or Monaco, the race after. We can't do anything else, so yeah. As also our engine's starting to get a little bit worn, as we're going to advance. No, we're not. We need 2.25 million for the chassis, which is what we need, because chassis, we can't do any more chassis upgrades once that upgrade came in, so now we can't do any more upgrades. So yeah, and actually the secondary wing flaps are actually going to come on for Imola. So yeah, we've got a marketing department event. So engine suppliers asked one of our drivers to make a guest appearance on their brand new flagship car showroom in Dubai. Hauger was scheduled to appear at a charity event that starts the same week. What should we tell them? I don't know. I think I went for decline just to get the team acclaim, because we did lose a lot of team acclaim in that race. But we are going to make we're going to lose 50k, as I think that went to say to them, sorry, here's 50k. As we wait for the 17th, yes, that does come on, so that's good. Our front downforce has come on, and so we are now ready for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, which of course didn't happen in real life due to the storms, but we are going to do a drag reduction upgrade, are we? Yes, as I think as the next downforce upgrades are major, so they're going to be big upgrades when we can get them. As I can see, that chassis is full. We can't do anything more on chassis. We're starting to really run out of upgrades really to do. So we're not going to do any upgrades. We're going to save our points for after practice, because I think we can get a lot more upgrades maybe. But yeah, that's gonna round out today's video. So if you have enjoyed, then leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next race for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, which should be a spicy one.